What is up everyone, Movie Worm back again with another end of month vlog. This is just me talking about everything I watched in the month of December 2024. And I just want to say Happy New Year to you all. I am recording this in 2025 obviously. And I just like to say thank you so much for the support on this channel. Sorry I haven't really been uploading as much as I used to years ago. I do have another channel which is horror themed, and I've been putting a lot of work into that, but I mainly just do this channel now for physical media content and these end of month reviews, or end of month vlogs if you like. So yeah, that's the reason why I don't post as much on here, but I am going to try and do a little bit more this year. There was a month I'd done a couple of months ago where I'd done a few top 10 physical media based videos, and I'd like to try and do that a lot more often this year. So look out for those. But if you do want to follow the horror channel, I'll leave it in the link down below. Now, I'm going to admit, guys, this is probably my least contented end of month vlog. There's only 14 titles to talk about here. Usually I have around 20 or more. So I'm really sorry about that. I don't know why I haven't watched that much this month, but I have been watching Squid Game towards the end of the month, season 2. I'll talk about that more in January because I have not finished it yet. But if you do like the first season, I definitely recommend it because it's a lot of fun. Me and my wife are having a great time with it. We've only got 2 episodes left, and I'm really glad I started it. Yeah, I think it's awesome, to be honest. So yeah, let's just get into it with the first thing that I watched in the month of December 2024. So first off, we do have Wicked. Now, I had no interest in this movie whatsoever. I said to myself, I'm not going to see that. It's just not my thing. The more I thought about it, I am a fan of The Wizard of Oz. Now, I've never seen the stage show Wicked. I know it's a stage show, but then the reviews started coming out and they were just getting so much praise. Like, people were saying this was movie of the year and everything. I thought, you know what, okay, I'm going to give this a go. I have to see what it's all about. There was so much talk about this over on social media and stuff. People filming the ending in the theatre, or the cinema, should I say. People arguing over that and stuff. And it just had a lot of conversation around it. So I decided to go and give it a go. And thankfully, everyone in my cinema was fine. There was no people singing along with the songs or filming the ending or anything like that. Everyone was just quite well behaved. I don't have too many bad cinema trips, I'm not going to lie. 1 or 2 in the past 3-4 years. And it usually calms down quite quick when someone tells them to shut up. But I know a lot of people do have bad cinema visits. And I'm really sorry to hear that. But I'm personally, I'm just going by experience. I don't really see that too much, personally. Anyway, on with the movie. This was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I gave it 3.5 on my Letterboxd, which isn't a bad score overall. Really reminded me of Harry Potter, weirdly. Now, the reason for that is because we see Ariana Grande's character. I'm really, really sorry. I forgot the actress's name who plays the Wicked Witch. Damn. Anyway, they are in this sorcery school, learning magic and stuff like that, and it just really reminded me of Harry Potter, and most of the movie takes place there, like the first hour and a bit, until we get to sort of Oz and stuff like that. And that was my favourite part of the movie, to be honest. When the third act came, I wasn't too keen on it, but all that was fine, and I thought Ariana Grande was a really great character in this. She thought she was so perfect and everything. As Glinda, that's her name. But the other actress, I'm really sorry. I should have looked this up before talking about it, man. She put in a great performance as well. I thought they'd done really well on screen together, and their friendship and their differences and stuff really worked well, I thought. So, yeah, it was a fine movie. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. It was fine. Nowhere near top movie of the year for me, personally. But if this might be your sort of thing, definitely give it a go. I did like some of the songs and stuff in it as well, to be honest. I'm not really a musical person. Another reason I didn't want to go and see it. But yeah, I thought this was pretty good. That is Wicked. Getting more into my territory now. And this is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. I'll just put the box set over there so you can see the movie poster, guys. Now, I watched A Nightmare on Elm Street 1 towards the late end of October because I was doing a podcast with my friend over at my 2 friends over at SP Film Reviewers, and we were talking about the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And since I watched that, I've just had this massive inkling to go and watch the second one. And I used to love this as a kid. Like, It was one of the very first horror movies I ever watched. It took me a while to watch it because I was always terrified to watch it. This is a very dark Elm Street movie. But it's one of them I can just throw on any single time. But I haven't watched it for a few years, and I thought, you know what, I really want to watch Freddy 2 again. So I just did it. And yeah, had a great time with it as well. Now, this isn't as good as the first movie, in my opinion, but this gets way too much hate from a lot of people who say that it's the worst Freddy film and stuff like that. No, I think this is pretty awesome. I love Freddy in this movie. He's so dark, sinister, and actually scary in this film. There's not too many jokes and stuff. It's just real sinisterism from this character. Robert Englund is great in this once again. I love the whole look of Freddy in this movie. Kind of was made to look like a witch when they were making this film, and it definitely looks like that on screen. Jesse is a great final guy. I think he's a great main protagonist to get behind. And this is the dark sheep of the Elm Street franchise, really, because it all involves possession and stuff like that, which is a little bit of a weird thing because it doesn't really explore that again in the other Elm Street movies or even in the first one. So that was a weird way to take this, the weird direction to take it in. But I still think it's a pretty good film. Not massive on the third act, I'm not going to lie, when we go to the boiler room and stuff. I think it's a pretty weak ending. But the opening is probably the best opening in the entire franchise, and there's some great moments in here. A lot of people hate it when Freddy goes to the party because he's come out of the dream world, but that's probably one of my favourite scenes in the entire film. I love him, just seeing him go crazy and stuff. So yeah, pretty good film. Love the score and everything. The score is chilling. Yeah, it'll always remain a favourite to me. So that is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge. Okay guys, getting on to the first Christmas movie that I watched in December. There isn't too many here, so I always feel weird doing December end of month vlogs because there's Christmas films in there and Christmas is now past. But yeah, I'm going to have to talk about them. There's only about 4 or 5 in here, I think. So that is The Holdovers. Never actually seen this one. This was a first time watch for me. Had a lot of buzz about this last year. We didn't get it till February, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to hold off there, pardon the pun, until December, because this is a Christmas film. Why they decided to release this in February, I'll never know. The release dates really do grind my gears. America get it in December, we get it in February. It's a fucking Christmas movie. Just release it both in December. You're only hating your film as well. UK audiences would go and see that more, I think, if it was released in December. But anyway, Paul Giamatti was absolutely fantastic in this film. He basically has to stay over at the boarding school over Christmas with these students, and they all get permission to go to one of the students' home for Christmas. Like, this rich guy's going to take them all on holiday to his big house, and this one student can't get in touch with his parents, so the school can't really let him go with this guy, this one of his friends and the family, to stay at this house. So he has to stay at the school with Paul Giamatti and this woman, Mary, her name is in the movie. God, a damn name, the actress. I really should do more research on these videos, guys. I'm really sorry. But all great performances, man. There's really heartfelt characters finding their way in life a little bit with the help of the other. And there's great chemistry all around. But Paul Giamatti, man, he was just absolutely fantastic in this film. One of the best performances he's ever done. I thought he was the main draw for me. I just couldn't take my eyes off his performance, really. And there's a line at the end of the movie involving penis cancer. I won't say too much more than that, but the way he delivers this line, I rewound the movie about 5 times, laughing my friggin' ass off. It was just a great way of telling someone what you think of them. I thought the funniest moment of the entire film for me. But yeah, we're all set in the 70s and stuff. Really gets that visual aspect across, I think. And just a pretty good film. I will probably watch this again in many more Christmases to come. I probably will grab the 4K as well. So that is The Holdovers. Bit of a Christmas horror movie this time, guys, and that is Krampus. I wanted to review this over on my horror channel. I'd never really been a big fan of this movie the first time I watched it, but a lot of people tend to love this film. And Michael Dougherty, who had just made Trick or Treat, which I watched for the first time last year, made this one. And after really liking Trick or Treat, I thought, I'll give Krampus another go. And you know what? I really enjoyed this movie a second time around. So basically, this really has a vibe of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's about 2 families staying together who don't really get on. And that's where it really reminds me of Christmas Vacation. But this Krampus, like, there's no Christmas spirit. Everyone's arguing and stuff like that. And the Krampus, his whole thing is punishing families who don't get into the Christmas spirit, really. And he comes to this little neighborhood and brings this storm with him. So the family are all isolated, and he tends to pick them off one by one with the help of his little sinister helpers, really. He's got this, like, evil gingerbread man, a Jack-in-the-Box that sort of tries to eat the kids and stuff like that. And he's basically trying to devour, like, take over this family, basically, and kill them off one by one because they're not getting into the spirit of Christmas. It's a really cool idea, and I really enjoyed it. Some great performances in here. You got what's her name off Hereditary? You know the name. Damn it! I'm gonna have to look at the back. What's her name? Toni Collette, of course. Great in this. Adam Scott, and the young boy in this, I thought was a great character as well. He's like the main protagonist to get behind. But yeah, the Krampus looked awesome. There's one scene where he's jumping from roof to roof, and I thought, oh, that's scary, that's creepy. I really had a great time with it, guys. I love it when you rewatch movies and they are just better on a second time watch, and this was one of them. So that is Krampus. Talking of movies that are better on a second rewatch, this happened again, and that is Doctor Sleep. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of this in the cinema. I thought it was okay. I give it, like, to say 6.5, 7 out of 10. But this improved vastly for me on rewatch. I don't know why, I've just had this inkling, like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, to go and watch this movie and give it another go. And I thought this was fantastic. Like, the idea that Stephen King has got for this sequel, like, it's totally different to the first film. First film is all taking place in the hotel, of course. This one sees Danny, the survivor of the first movie, Jack Torrance's son, when he's in, like, his 40s, and he's got the Shining still, and he's kind of helps people with the Shining and stuff like that. But there's this like, carnival folk, like, going around. They've all got the Shining, and they are sucking it out of kids so they can live longer. And they've found this kid who's got, like, the best Shining ever, and Danny is going to protect her because he knows this, like, circus folk are coming, and it's sort of a race against time to get to this young girl because he wants to save her and they want to devour her so they can live longer and stuff like that. And Rose the Hat is the leader of this, like, circus folk gang, and she plays Rose the Hat, and she is a great villain in this movie. Like, there's a moment where this kid goes, "Are you gonna hurt me?" And she just goes, "Yes," and they're all sucking the life out of him. Oh my god. Because the more the kids fear, the more Shining it releases. It's just a really great idea. Now, where this movie kind of fell apart for me is the third act, when we go back to the Overlook Hotel. I loved the way that we were traveling there with the overhead shot, and old Stanley Kubrick's old music from the old Stanley Kubrick movie was playing overhead and stuff like that. That was great. But then it is way too much fan service in that last 30 minutes, I think. It just goes overboard. Like, even the moment where Rose the Hat's walking up the stairs and Danny's kind of, like, swinging an axe at her instead of a bat. It just plays out sort of the same, really. And I just wish we didn't go down that path, personally. It was cool to see the Overlook again, but it was just way too much, I thought. Like, people complain about Alien Romulus having too much fan service. This was like treble that for me. So, yeah. Pretty good movie, though. I'm just not a fan of the third act all that much. It's good. I just don't like it as much as the rest of the film, but a solid sequel. That is Doctor Sleep. Next up, we have Red One. I'd heard a lot of hate about this movie, and yes, it wasn't great, but it was nowhere near as bad as what everyone says. People like to do that these days, don't they? Just like, the worst thing I've ever seen, and it's like, no, it's not. It's a fairly enjoyable enough Christmas movie, but because it stars The Rock and all these other big stars like Chris Evans and stuff, we're gonna shit on it. I don't think it was that bad, really. I mean, if you do think that, then fair enough. I thought this was an easily digestible Christmas film, and this sees Santa, who's been kidnapped, and The Rock, who's like his main elf, has to go out and sort of rescue him, really. And there's like this task force who help with, if anything goes wrong, like the Easter Bunny or something gets kidnapped or something, they're there to help. It's a ridiculous concept, but I thought it was pretty fun. Now, there's a moment where these snowmen are trying to attack these characters, and that was quite a creepy moment for kids, I'm not going to lie. Got the Krampus himself in here as well. He makes an appearance. Not the actual one from the movie, but just the Krampus in general. I thought it was fine. The Rock is playing himself, of course. I thought Chris Evans was a pretty decent character in this film. There's a little character arc for him and his son to sort of get stuck into. But yeah, I thought it was a fairly passable Christmas film. And yeah, it did bomb at the box office, but oh well. I don't think this movie should have cost 200 million. Nowhere near that. I'm sure 50 of that went to The Rock and maybe 40 to Chris Evans and stuff. So there's a big chunk of your budget, isn't it? But I thought this was pretty decent. Enough. So that is Red One. Next up, we have a pretty surprising movie, and that is Carry On. My dad told me about this. He said, I watched the trailer for this film. It looks a bit like Die Hard 2. And Die Hard 2 is one of my dad's favourite Christmas films. I went, what's that on? He said Netflix. So I went, okay, I'll have a little look at that. And then everyone started talking about this movie on social media and stuff. So I said to my wife, should we give it a go? Now, this takes place on Christmas Eve. And it is pretty much like Die Hard and Phone Booth in a way. Well, let's say Die Hard 2 with Phone Booth, really. This guy who works at the security check is sort of got this earpiece in, and the villain, played by Jason Bateman, is it? He's telling him all these instructions, and he says, you better let me on this plane with this package, or people are going to die. We've got a sniper on your girlfriend now, who also works in the airport, and things are going to go really bad for you if you don't let me on the plane. And it's a real good thriller. You know, Taron Egerton was great in this. He really reminded me of the T-1000, the way he was running and stuff, and he had like this police-looking uniform on. If you ever remake Terminator 2, there's your man there for T-1000. But yeah, pretty good movie. I thought Jason Bateman, not the best villain. I don't think he suits the more villainous role, really, but he's okay. But Taron Egerton was the star, and I think it uses the airport to its full advantage, really. Now, it did lose the holiday of Christmas a little bit. There wasn't too many Christmas decorations around or anything, or any snow or anything like that. So it just takes place on Christmas Eve. So I can't say this has fully felt like a Christmas film, but it was good enough, and I quite enjoyed it. That is Carry On. Next up, we have The Autopsy of James Doe, a movie that a lot of people have told me to watch, and it's just quite a famous modern horror movie that I've just never really got into, and this was on Netflix as well. I thought, okay, I'll just give this a go. Now, this sees a father and son who are working in this morgue, and this woman, Jane Doe, comes in because they don't know her name and stuff, and they're doing an autopsy, and all things are going strange while they're doing the autopsy. They can't quite work out why she looks the way she does, because there's no bleeding and stuff like that. They can't get the head round why this woman has come in the way she does, and they're finding all sorts of things in the autopsy, and strange things start to occur, and even sinister things like death to some characters and stuff start happening. I thought the movie was pretty boring, to be honest, guys. I wasn't really too big of a fan of this one, in all honesty. It was okay, it was a good little idea, but the execution just wasn't there for me. So overall, pretty meh movie. That was quite a disappointment, I think, as The Autopsy of Jane Doe. Next up, we do have my older release of the month, and that is Home Alone. I absolutely adore this movie, guys, and I will probably watch it every year now for as long as I'm alive. Every time I watch this, I notice something brand new about it. Like, I've only just noticed why that pizza guy is always rushing towards the house and knocking the statue over. It's because if he doesn't deliver the pizza in 20 minutes or less, it's free. Because it's written on the side of his car. And I've only just noticed that after the 100th time of watching it. I just thought it was a fun little gimmick that they keep knocking the statue over. Just little things like that I noticed. And I love the writing in this movie, guys. I mean, the writing is so clever for such a simple film. Like, Macaulay Culkin's character, Kevin, climbing along them shelves and to get money for the store. But as he's doing that, the shelves collapse and the tarantula is set free. And that comes into play later on in the movie. You know, just things like that are just really great writing. Like when he goes down to the cellar and the fireplace is talking to him, and that's first he's scared, but then he's not. And this all plays into later on when he's talking to old man Marley in the church, saying, look, you should call your son. I was scared of my fireplace, but it's not too bad once you get over it. Just great writing. And this film, it never really got to me, but the last few years, man, I well up at the end when old man Marley phones his son, all because of this 8-year-old Kevin, and you see him at the end with his granddaughter waving. Man, that fills me up every single time, and I never cry at movies, but man, I did this time. But yeah, the comedy as well in this movie, of course, is the main draw. Harry and Marv getting beaten to a pulp by young Kevin here is the highlight of the film, really. Although the old man Marley story is really starting to become my favourite part of the film. That's the whole Christmas feel about this film, really, that little storyline, which I never used to care for as a kid, but when you get older, you just see things differently, don't you? Great performances by Macaulay Culkin, Daniel Stern, and Joe Pesci, of course. Really love this movie. It's just absolute classic and one of the best Christmas movies ever made. It's fucking phenomenal. So I'm lying here, guys. This is not my older release of the month. I got that wrong. There's another one in a minute. So just ignore I said that. But yeah, it came very, very close. So that is Home Alone. Next up, me and my wife went to see Sonic 3 at the cinema. Now, as a big Sonic fan as a kid, I have seen all of these at the cinema, and this was probably the best one, in all honesty. This time we got Shadow, voiced by Keanu Reeves, coming into the fray, and I thought he was a really cool character. At first, he's a bit of a bad guy, and then Sonic and that's trying to sort of turn him onto the team, kind of like Knuckles in the second movie. Same sort of setup there. Sorry about that. And we've got Jim Carrey returning as Dr. Robotnik, but his grandfather is also in this movie as an even more evil type Dr. Robotnik, and Jim Carrey, of course, plays both of them. That was a really fun dynamic to have there. Now, one of my main gripes about these movies is the human side of things, but that is more put into the background in this film compared to the other two, and it is more mainly focused on Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and Shadow. Team Sonic, if you like. And yeah, like I said, this was probably the best one for me. It's just getting better and better, this franchise. And some good throwbacks to the adults as well, but the kids will absolutely love this film. So yeah, me and my wife, who are in our 30s, really enjoyed this film at the cinema. I'm not ashamed to say I went to see this without any kids or anything. Had a fun time. So that is Sonic 3. Now this is my older release of the month, guys. Die Hard. Yes, I watched this just before Christmas Eve, I think, and I had such a good time with it. This was probably my favourite time I've ever watched Die Hard, to be honest. I've seen it so many times, but this time I just couldn't stop thinking about it for days afterwards, and it is just a fucking phenomenal movie. Again, the writing in this film is fantastic. You know, the guy who's telling him to take his shoes off at the start of the movie to get over the fear of flying, and that is the whole reason he's got no shoes on in the entire film. You know, little things like that. It's just the ultimate action movie, isn't it? You got Bruce Willis as John McClane, who wasn't like a big, massive bodybuilder like Sly Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the day. So people may have thought then he was kind of miscast, but it works so well. He's like the average, everyday guy you can relate to, really, which kind of makes him perfect for the role in this film, really. He's going up against a big army of terrorists, and he's only got this handgun to his name. But yeah, he's just a badass in this movie, Bruce Willis. And you got Hans Gruber as the villain, who's just awesome as well. One line that really I loved this time that I've never really noticed too much, but might be like my favourite line in the movie now. And it is yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, but not when Bruce Willis says it. I love when Alan Rickman turned around and goes, "What was it you said to me before? Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker." I just love the way he delivers that line. And him and Bruce Willis start laughing and stuff. The whole building blowing up is just fucking awesome. You got Reginald Van Johnson as well, who's got his little character arc going after he shot a kid and then he comes to save you at the end. You know, again, great writing. So just the ultimate badass action movie. Absolutely love it. And I can't wait to watch it again next year, but it's one of them I could watch anytime, to be honest. So that is Die Hard. On Christmas Eve, me and my wife ordered a Pizza Hut and we watched Elf. Yes, this is another staple in our house. We watch this every Christmas Eve, really. And she falls asleep every single year. But this year she stayed awake. So props to my wife, Sam, there. But yeah, I just think Will Ferrell is fantastic in this film. This is such a great Christmas movie. Kind of like Home Alone now. It's becoming a little bit of a classic for me and one that I watch every single year. Will Ferrell, who is an elf because he thinks he's an elf. He went into Santa's bag and he was all part of the foster home. He lives with the elves for like 30 years and they tell him he's not really an elf and his real dad is living in New York. So he sets off on a journey to go and find his real dad, played by, oh my God, James Caan. James Caan, and he is like the total opposite of Buddy. Like Buddy is just a happy entertainment, buzz of energy, and James Caan is just like a down in the dumps. He's even on the naughty list, Santa says in this movie. But I love everything about this film. This is ultimate Christmas magic, where James Caan is sort of turned by Buddy. Buddy's lighting up joy everywhere he goes. He's finding romance and stuff with the girl Jovi in this film. I just love this film to death. I really do. I think it's fun, bloody-tastic. It makes me laugh. It absolutely flies by. It's just a fun movie all around. And directed by oh my god, what am I like with names today? Jon Favreau, of course, who plays Happy in Iron Man. Yeah, a great movie by him. I absolutely love it. So yeah, a staple in my house every year now. That is Elf. Next up is going to be my new release of the month, and this is Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. And I've seen a lot of people watching this Christmas Day. I didn't even know this was coming out. And oh my god, this was absolutely brilliant and hilarious at the same time. So Wallace obviously is this big inventor, and he invents this gnome that can basically do everyone's garden in seconds. Wallace, Gromit, who's just like the dog, obviously, who his one thing is gardening. He loves gardening, and he goes out one day and puts his flower there, and this gnome just comes and just destroys everything that he's worked on, and but in a good, like, makes it his own garden, really. So Gromit can't even have his bloody gardening to do now. He's surrounded by all these Wallace inventions. Like, Wallace has even got a pet-o-matic to pet him. Instead of Wallace petting him himself, he gets this machine to do it, and Gromit is just fed up of all these inventions. But this gnome comes into their lives and basically just takes over. And the gnome, the voice, oh my god, it was absolutely hilarious to watch. But Feathers McGraw, who is locked up for like over the years in this movie, has found a way to get out by using this gnome and sort of hacking it, and he's going to find a way out of prison now. And Wallace and Gromit have got to save the day, basically. But great British humour, great voice acting, even the characters, like the police officers and stuff, real northern characters. I just loved it. It was just such a joy. It was only on for 17 minutes, guys. Even if you've never watched Wallace and Gromit, give this a go. It was just so great. Great stop motion, pure British. I absolutely loved it. It's made me want to watch more Wallace and Gromit stuff now as well. Because I haven't seen every one of the films, but just fantastic. Absolutely loved it. The gnome is hilarious. So that is Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. And last up, guys, we do have Venom: The Last Dance. Missed this one at the cinema. Didn't really have too much desire to go and see it, but my wife did want to watch it, and we decided to get it digitally and watch it there. And I had a good time with it. You know, I was expecting the worst from this. I did not like Venom 2 at all. I did like the first one. But this one was fine. It's more like a road trip movie where we see Tom Hardy and his symbiote companion just sort of on the run from the police, really. And I felt so sorry for Tom Hardy in these movies. He kind of looks like he's just dragged down by the symbiote who's just getting him into all sorts of shit. And Tom Hardy just looks so stressed in these movies. I would hate to have one of them attached to me. I really would. No, I don't care how many superpowers it gives you. But it was fine. I mean, there's some fun moments with the symbiote horse and stuff. A moment where they're on the side of a plane. You know, it's more like sequences that are happening throughout the movie. We had a pretty good third act with the action and stuff. Not too much story, but it's a fun Venom film. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was fine. Yeah, so I had a good time with it. That is Venom: The Last Dance. Bye-bye, Sony Universe. Hey guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. What do you think of these movies that I watched? Please do let me know in the comments down below. Sorry I couldn't remember some of the names there. It just always happens when I'm on camera. But thanks so much, guys. You take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.